Hello and welcome back to the channel. Today we're diving into a heartbreaking and important global issue, where many Filipinos become homeless abroad and why this happens. We often hear success stories of overseas Filipino workers, OFWs, and immigrants who found opportunities overseas. But behind those stories, there's another side, a side of hardship, struggle, and sometimes homelessness. According to migration statistics, millions of Filipinos live and work overseas in countries across Asia, the Middle East, North America, and beyond. But not every journey ends in success. Some struggle to find stable work, affordable housing, or legal protection, and this can push them into homelessness. In this video, we'll count down the 10 countries where the Filipino homeless population abroad is most reported or observed, discuss the underlying causes, and shine a light on the human faces behind these numbers. New Zealand. Starting at number 10 is New Zealand. While New Zealand is known for its quality of life and scenic beauty, many Filipino immigrants, including caregivers, hospitality workers, and students, find the cost of living outpacing their earnings. High rents in cities like Auckland and Wellington can put pressure on newcomers without strong financial support or networks. When jobs are scarce or wages lag, housing becomes unaffordable, and in extreme cases, some Filipinos resort to temporary shelters, cars, or crowded shared housing just to survive. While official counts may be limited, community reports and social media stories confirm that homelessness among Filipinos is a real issue here. Australia. At number 9 is Australia, another country celebrated for high living standards. Many Filipinos move to Australia seeking work, education, or permanent residency. However, the reality for some is quite different. In major cities like Sydney and Melbourne, soaring rents and tough job markets make it hard for low-income migrants to get stable footing. Without family or community support, individuals can fall through the cracks. Especially temporary visa holders who can't access social services. Homelessness among Filipino immigrants often goes unreported due to fear of legal trouble or deportation, but local Filipino community organizations are aware of the struggle and try to provide support. Singapore. Singapore comes in at number 8. Singapore has one of the largest populations of Filipino migrant workers in Southeast Asia, especially in domestic work, caregiving, and service industries. Despite relatively better wages, the cost of living, particularly rental housing, is among the highest in the world. For some Filipinos working on low-income or temporary contracts, paying rent plus sending money home becomes almost impossible. Those without stable jobs or accommodations may have to move between overcrowded dormitories, work sites, or public spaces, sometimes falling into homelessness. Another factor is the restrictive immigration system. Without permanent residency, temporary workers can't easily access public benefits or social safety nets. This can trap them in cycles of precarious work and housing insecurity. Sexual, labor, and wage abuses, while not unique to Singapore, also play into this vulnerability for some migrants. Malaysia. Number 7 is Malaysia, a neighboring country with deep historical and economic links to the Philippines, especially to the southern island of Mindanao. Many Filipinos in Malaysia work in sectors like fishing, construction, agriculture, and domestic work. A significant number are undocumented due to cross-border migrations, which heightens their risk of exploitation, unstable work, and housing insecurity. Undocumented status can prevent Filipinos from accessing formal housing, health care, and legal protection. In some regions like Sabah, the Filipino Muslim communities have faced decades of challenges related to citizenship, documentation, and integration, leading to informal settlements and situations that resemble homelessness. These issues are rooted in historic displacement as well as current economic pressures, and they show how migration and homelessness intersect in complex ways. Qatar. At number 6 is Qatar, a Gulf country with a high demand for foreign labor. Filipinos constitute a significant portion of the migrant workforce, especially in construction, services, and domestic roles. While many find good income, others face brutal work conditions, delayed wages, or exploitative contracts. When work falls through, housing often collapses with it. In Qatar and similar Gulf states, workers typically live in employer-provided housing. Losing your job can mean losing your home almost instantly. Without legal protections or unemployment support, some migrants, including Filipinos, can find themselves living in overcrowded, unsafe, or unregistered accommodations that resemble homelessness. Housing insecurity in Qatar underscores how poverty back home can push workers into environments where rights and housing are not guaranteed. Kuwait. Halfway through our list at number 5 is Kuwait, another Gulf state with a large Filipino population. Estimates suggest hundreds of thousands of Filipinos work in Kuwait, many as domestic workers. Reports from Filipino community centers and embassies show that abused or unpaid workers sometimes end up without a stable place to live, relying instead on shelters or temporary embassy accommodations. Labor abuses, including unpaid wages, confiscated passports, and restricted movement, have been documented in Kuwait and have forced some Filipinos into homelessness or homelessness-like situations, where they lack choice and stability. This was tragically highlighted in global headlines after the murder and abuse cases of Filipino domestic workers, which sparked international concern. Canada. Number 4 on our list is Canada, one of the wealthiest countries in the world. You might think homelessness would be a rare experience here, but for some Filipino migrants, it's a harsh reality. Reports and community voices point to at least 35,000 homeless individuals across major Canadian cities, including Toronto, Vancouver, Montreal, Calgary, and Winnipeg. With a notable proportion being Filipino immigrants or hopeful job seekers from the Philippines. Many arrive with dreams of better lives, only to find intense competition, expensive housing markets, and few social supports if they don't have permanent residency or family sponsorship. Some work multiple low-wage jobs or remain undocumented, which limits access to services. Advocacy groups in Canada are now pushing for more inclusive policies to support vulnerable migrants who are struggling to find stable homes. United Arab Emirates. At number 3 is the United Arab Emirates, UAE, home to millions of foreign workers from Asia, Africa, and beyond. Filipinos are a significant migrant community here, often employed in hospitality, domestic work, healthcare, and construction. Like other Gulf states, the UAE's labor system ties housing to employment. When contracts end or workers aren't paid, living arrangements are at risk. Some Filipinos experience crowded or informal housing, and if they lose employment without savings or networks, they can end up without secure accommodation. The UAE's strict immigration policies mean migrants can face deportation if they're unable to support themselves, pushing them into hidden homelessness, where they sleep in temporary shelters, mosques, or shared crowded spaces rather than formal homes. Saudi Arabia. Our runner-up at number 2 is Saudi Arabia, the single largest destination for overseas Filipino workers worldwide. Filipinos make up a huge part of the labor force, especially in domestic work, caregiving, hospitality, and service sectors. Despite the economic opportunities, many Filipino workers face harsh conditions, delayed salaries, restricted mobility, unsafe work environments, and limited protections. Since housing is often tied directly to employers, losing a job can mean immediate homelessness. Workers who escape abuse or joblessness may end up in temporary shelters, embassy-safe houses, or crowded informal housing, far from the dream they left home for. Saudi Arabia's situation is a stark example of how economic necessity drives migration, but without adequate legal and social support, some Filipinos end up without stable homes or futures. United States. And finally, at number 1, the United States of America. The U.S. hosts the largest Filipino diaspora in the world, with over 4 million Filipinos and Filipino Americans living, working, and raising families across the country. But even in a wealthy nation, homelessness among Filipinos exists. High housing costs in cities like Los Angeles, San Francisco, New York, and Honolulu put enormous pressure on immigrants and first-generation families. Language barriers, employment challenges, and systemic inequalities can make it difficult for new arrivals to secure stable work or affordable housing. Tragically, after natural disasters like the 2023 Maui wildfires, Filipino survivors were found struggling with housing insecurity and limited access to support programs. Showing how disasters and economic strain can push people into homelessness even in developed countries. Homelessness among Filipinos abroad isn't just a statistic, it's a human story of dreams pursued and, for some, dreams deferred. Many Filipinos leave home to support their families, send remittances, and build a better future. But without adequate protections, affordable housing, legal support, and community networks, some end up without homes in foreign lands. These stories remind us that migration is complex, filled with hope, risk, resilience, and challenge. If this video raised your awareness or moved you, please like, share, and subscribe for more insights into global social issues. And let us know in the comments, what surprised you most about this list. Thanks for watching, see you in the next video.